I knew it was coming. I absolutely not knew it was coming because of how orchestrated it was. The only thing, and I'll state this at the beginning, the only reason I'm upset by being canceled is because I've expired one of my lives. Because first you get canceled, then they make up a reason to put you in jail, and if that fails, they kill you.
We're back with breaking news out of Romania, where disgraced influencer Andrew Tate has been indicted and will face charges of human trafficking and forming a criminal gang to sexually exploit women.
He is a deeply controversial online influencer.
When I talk about the Matrix, I'm talking about the systems which have been created by society, which are deliberately designed to enslave.
Who has been taken off multiple platforms, including Facebook and Instagram, for promoting hate speech and misogynistic commentary.
In the movie, the Matrix were used for our body heat, but here in this Matrix, we're used for our efforts and our energies. And you're existing inside of a system which is deliberately rigged to make the rich richer and for the poor to stay poor.
This is always a divisive topic, but one I felt a responsibility to cover in an unbiased manner because there are so few people doing it. I mean, there are people who are. I think Abba and Preach did a pretty good video about it. But, today, finally, both Andrew Tate and Tristan Tate were formally charged. If you haven't been following the Tate brothers saga, if you just have consumed basically what the internet has told you, Twitter in particular, then they're just automatically guilty of the most heinous crimes imaginable, and they just know that they're guilty. And when you ask for evidence of that, you will receive a bunch of "dude, trust me, bros," and they admitted it and all this kind of stuff. My position has always been, and I will remind people before they get too emotionally involved in my take here, I am not like a consumer of Andrew Tate's or Tristan Tate's content. I've seen it obviously because I have to cover it. I don't believe everything that they say is true. I don't agree with everything they say or do. And it's entirely possible that the things that are being said about them are true. My position has been these men deserve their day in court. And the whole shenanigans is suspicious. The way everything's been handled, being held without charges for nearly a year. By the way, Andrew Tate, as far as I know, is an American, was born in America. And, we were happy to trade the literal merchant of death for somebody who willingly broke the law and was convicted in Russia. And we just let Andrew Tate sit in prison. There's stuff like that. Now, maybe it's entirely possible that people in the know have seen all sorts of irrefutable evidence. It's possible. But there isn't anybody on the internet who has. There's lots of people on the internet who are telling you they know for a fact that these guys are guilty and that everything that's ever been said about them is true. They don't know. This is a fact. I don't know. That's why my position is these gentlemen deserve their day in court, although it seems very suspicious that they had been held for so many months without any kind of formal charges. And everyone just was okay with it because they don't like them. They don't like these gentlemen on the internet. Things that they say, things that they do. My position is and will always be that people deserve a fair trial. Now, they are in Romania. I'm less familiar with Romanian court systems, okay? That doesn't mean that I can't want the best for any man or woman, regardless of what has been said about them. I think everyone deserves their fair day in court. And I don't believe that the Romanian government has as strong a case as people think. A lot of people are saying, oh, well, yeah, they spent all this time getting everything all together and they're definitely going to, crush them. Okay, fine. Let's see that. There's a lot of celebration going on around the charges, all these articles, indicted. Now he's been indicted on various charges. Romanian prosecutors have filed charges against social media celebrity Andrew Tate and his brother, accusing the pair of a bunch of serious crimes. Now, Tate and fellow defendants are accused of, going through all this kind of stuff, the same stuff that they've basically said. I do think it's very interesting that they waited till like 7 or 8 days before they ran out of time to charge them to finally charge them. Now, maybe, to be fair, they were spending every possible minute to make sure that their case was airtight. That's possible. Okay. The reason I've been covering these cases is because it's very frustrating to me to see so many people have their minds made up immediately when these guys haven't even had their days in court. If they're guilty, they'll let the evidence show that. I think that's a very reasonable thing to do. But I see so many people that just don't like these guys that are like literally spreading misinformation. I have people in my own mentions, oh yeah, dude, they were charged. They've been charged. They weren't held without charges. I'm like, dude, Google it. Then all suddenly they delete the reply. The whole stuff around their charging has been very odd. Confiscating all of their cars, their money, and all this stuff before they've ever even formally charged them with anything. There's a lot of weird stuff. I think that most people could admit that. You see, Tristan, in 9 days, the maximum period to legally hold me without charges expires. Charges. Good. Until now, I've not been allowed to discuss what the, quote, evidence is against me. I've been muzzled under the instruction that I could disrupt the investigation. Finally, I can talk. And I mean, I think that you have a situation here, where you don't know. Nobody really knows. Now, again, maybe the Romanian government has insane specific and just the worst kind of evidence, and it's irrefutable. Interesting. Then why would you wait 14 months before charging him? You see Andrew Tate and Tristan Tate charged after more than 14 months of investigation. The judiciary has charged them. This case appears to be remarkably weak. This is Suleiman Ahmed. And it was evident that the charges we brought against them, they have been held in custody for 6 months without charges, and only due to this prolonged detention were authorities compelled to even press charges. The evidence is weak. The situation is a politically motivated attack. Now, that's their opinion. Again, I try to be, unbiased. You don't have to, and I try to implore my viewers to also be the same way. If there was some weirdo leftist SJW who's charged with something, I'd want them to have their day in court. Unfortunately, our government doesn't prosecute these people. You see, the file will be in the hands of the judges. This means evidence will finally be reviewed. Until now, no judge has looked at the evidence and even tried to make a guilty or not guilty determination. The case was in the hands of investigators who were fighting to keep me in jail so they could, quote, keep investigating. Horrible, I know, but the good part starts now. I believe that that's true. I believe that two things can be true at once. Maybe the things that they said about Andrew and Tristan are true. Maybe. But I believe that they had no case and they were taking every possible minute to keep them off, off the grid and under their thumb while they built their case. I think that you can pretty easily make that association by just look at how they were handled. Now, were they flight risk? Maybe that's the case. It's possible. The thing is, Tristan tweets, if you force 7 women to make TikTok videos and steal 50% of their money, how much do you think you could make? This is a case that's been built against me. Now they talk about some of the things that, that these guys did that, again, I don't know. And nobody knows. They don't have the information. But what's interesting to me is, my opinion is that they're probably not going to be convicted. But again, I haven't seen the evidence. And it's very interesting to me. You can see here, opinion, Andrew Tate and Tristan Tate have been charged on what appears to be bogus charges. Based on the charges, it appears they coerced women into offering relationships, but only intended to hook up with them. Honestly, this is one of the most ridiculous indictments I've ever seen. The brothers are also being robbed as Tate is attempting to seize $380 million, luxury cars, watches, and other valuables. This appears to be nothing more than another corrupt government going after people who speak out against the system. They're attempting to make examples of anyone who speaks out against them. I mean, maybe they want to take their wealth. The idea that, that these guys are squeaky clean, I don't know. But I do think that people need to take a break and think about things for a second and think, why did they hold these guys without charges for so long? Why didn't the U.S. help one of their own citizens? Where is all this bombshell evidence that everyone on the internet claims to have? Oh, here's an old video of Andrew Tate saying something edgy. Okay, well, that's been public for years. What's going on? I don't know. I've never hung out with these people. I'm not like staking my reputation on one way or the other because I'm not in the courtrooms. I haven't seen the evidence, but nobody has. You see, Tristan says the criminal indictment states that in 2021 they formed a gang with people with the purpose of kidnapping. The cam studio closed 4 years prior to this. Also, the 7 alleged victims, many of which are totally on our side. How many of them do you think worked for my webcam studio? The Tate brothers had over $100 million in wealth in 2021. Tate alleges these crimes happened in 2021 to enrich themselves from TikTok accounts. There's a lot of these charges that seems bizarre. And again, like, there's a whole thing like, okay, does Andrew Tate need to take somebody against their will? It seems unlikely. He has money. He's a good-looking guy. He's charismatic. But look at Darren Sharper. Look at Bill Cosby. It has happened. I'm just saying the way that this has been covered, the way that they can't get a fair interview. I mean, BBC comes around. They want to chop it up and make them look bad. Nobody wants to give these guys a fair interview. There's just people are convinced of their guilt and they just want to fill in the gaps. I, for one, am happy that they're going to get their day in court. And look, if the state has all the evidence and they're just as bad as everybody was so convinced, so be it. My opinion has been since Jump Street and will continue to be, you don't have to like somebody. You don't have to agree with their things to say. You can even be offended or you can hate somebody. But they deserve their fair day in court, their fair shake in court. And in my opinion, the way that the case has been built against Andrew and Tristan Tate seems suspicious at the least. Maybe two things can be true. Maybe they are guilty of everything they said, and maybe the Romanian government is corrupt. Things can both be true. The world is complex. It's not black and white. But what I can say is this has been one of the most bizarre cases where people are happy to let these guys not get their day in court because they've been convinced by, out of context internet clips. And everyone who will tell you they're absolutely sure, oh my God, everyone knows. Just ask them what evidence is there. And then they'll link you to a BBC article, or they'll say, oh, here's a clip where Andrew Tate says something a little edgy. I don't know. But I'm glad that they're going to get their day in court. And now we're all going to know. We're going to know if it's a farce, which I suspect it is, or if they have all the goods on them. To me, it seems unlikely that it would need this long if they were so sure. I hope you were informed by this video. I'll continue to cover this trial and this case. So if you haven't yet, please do subscribe down below. We'll talk to you again real soon.